I got this dining room set basically for free, but it was in some rough shape, and it took me a few months to refinish. And that whole time I was asking myself, is this gonna be worth it? So I picked up this table on Facebook Marketplace, and my plan is to replace the current table we have in our dining room. The only thing is, the place where I got it from, their kids used it as a crafting table. And to say that there's some paint on it is an understatement. So my plan is to sand off all the stain that it has on it now, and from there decide if I should just put a clear coat on it, or maybe I bleach it, make it whiter, and then put a clear coat on it. So let's see. But why am I doing this in the first place? This is our old dining room table. I made it in a previous video. It looks alright, but functionally, it's all messed up. This was my first woodworking project, and if I've learned anything on the journey, it's to always blame the tools and never the craftsman. So when we moved into this new house, it was time to upgrade the dining room table, and I learned to not build a table this time, and just take a functioning table and finish it how I want it. This is what I'm talking about. It's gotta go. This table was a mess. It had everything wrong with it. Paint, glitter, scratches, gouges. The family clearly got a lot of use out of it, but they couldn't even give it away for free. Until I stumbled upon it on Facebook Marketplace, and I knew that with a lot of sanding and a little bit of love, I could bring this thing back to life. End of day 4 or 5, I don't even know. This is exhausting. This project has taken a lot of time, and I've barely even made a dent on the table. But luckily, I have time. I delayed taking my paternity leave until Taylor went back to school teaching. So for the next 2 months, it's just me and the kid, and the dining room set.
Bless you.
Sanding the edges of the table took a really long time because I had to sand those by hand. But the legs took the longest amount of time. The sander isn't very efficient on rounded edges, and there were a lot of weird angles. So I'm about 5 hours into sanding, and I made a mistake, but I think it'll actually turn out helping me. This is what I'm talking about. The leg on the right is the original style, but after some overzealous sanding, I removed a decent size on the leg on the left and stumbled upon this design. I like it even more because it's simple but still has some cues back to the original style. I found these chairs on the side of the road. My plan with them is to sand off the original finish and stain them black. I'm also refinishing the chairs we originally used in the dining room. Finally finished sanding. That took a few days and it was miserable. Now I get to the good part, which is finishing. I imagine it'll take another few days, but at least it's not as tedious. Or so I hope. My sister came over and saw me working on this table. They just moved and are looking for a new dining table themselves. And she thought this was a good idea to save a few bucks. But I had to be honest with her. I was like, Tess, this would not be worth it for you. You have 5 kids, and you and Dan both work. You'll have no time to do this. it would actually be cheaper in the time money value proposition if you just bought a new table. That is thick. So I applied the final top coat to the chairs, and I have some final thoughts. Staining the chairs was good with the intention, but the execution wasn't great. There are a few areas where the stain didn't quite penetrate the wood as it did in other areas. I did put a wood conditioner on it before I applied the stain, but it still wasn't quite even. And then after I applied the first top coat, I sanded it down to make it smooth, and it sanded away some of the stain. So there are some areas that aren't too noticeable, but some of the stain isn't as bright in those areas. So the intention was there, the intention was good, execution wasn't great, but that's kind of where I'm at, and you live and you learn. So with that being said, I decided to paint the remaining 4 chairs black, especially because I couldn't get all of the previous stain off with the sanding. This Art Deco bar cabinet is the last piece to the puzzle. I got it on Facebook Marketplace and negotiated them down from $100 to $60 because there's a big scrape across the top that needed refinishing. But it was a quick fix, just sanded and repainted, and it was good to go. So in the end, was this worth doing it myself? For me, yes and no. Refinishing everything took a really long time, and if I wasn't on paternity leave, it would have just been more efficient to buy brand new furniture. But despite the time and hassle, now that I've had some time away from working on the project, I actually look back on the process fondly. When we have family and friends over, I tell them the story of how I found all this on Facebook Marketplace and brought it back to where it is now. So do I recommend this to everyone? Definitely not. But if you have the time and you have the patience, then definitely do it yourself.
Say yay! Come on, get up, say yay!
Yeah. Approved.